My brother changed the locks on the house we grew up in and told me I had no claim to it anymore. What he didn't know? Our mother left something behind for me, and it changed everything. My name's Elise. Before we get started, where are you tuning in from? Are you in the middle of the morning rush or on a late-night drive? Drop a comment below. You're about to hear everything that happened after I made the choice that changed everything. I always thought home was a place that welcomed you no matter how far you'd wandered. For me, that place was a modest craftsman bungalow tucked into the foothills of Asheville. It had a white-painted porch swing, a squeaky screen door, and ivy that curled around the kitchen window like it had its own memories. That house held everything: my scraped knees, prom night photos, Mom's humming while she stirred spaghetti sauce. It was the kind of home that wrapped around you like a favorite sweater. When Mom passed, I was 26. I'd just accepted a design job in Denver. Nathan, my younger brother, was still living at home, working part-time at a local bike shop while figuring things out. The plan was simple. He'd stay in the house, and we'd keep it in the family. Neither of us had the heart to sell it, and Mom had made it clear. This house is yours. Together. Share it. Protect it. We weren't a perfect family. Dad left when we were kids, and Mom raised us on one teacher's salary and a garden that somehow grew everything. But we were close, at least back then. Nathan and I fought over silly things: who got the last biscuit, whose turn it was to take out the trash. But when Mom got sick, we clung to each other like driftwood. I flew back every other weekend during her last year. We took turns sitting by her bedside, reading her favorite mystery novels out loud. I remember the night before her funeral. Nathan and I sat on the back porch in total silence. The stars were out, sharp and still, and I said, "We'll make sure this house stays ours. For her." He nodded. That was all. For the next several years, I sent money monthly. Not a huge amount, but enough to cover the water bill or a broken pipe. I figured Nathan needed stability more than I did. He didn't always say thank you, but I didn't expect him to. We were doing this for Mom. So when I finally got a few days off and came back to visit, I wasn't expecting things to feel off. The porch swing was gone. The ivy had been stripped from the walls. The front door had a brand new keypad lock I didn't recognize. I knocked, then again. Nathan opened it wearing a flannel I didn't recognize and a look I definitely didn't expect. "Elise," he said, "didn't know you were coming. Didn't think I needed permission." There was a pause. Then, "You can't stay here." I laughed. It came out brittle. "What do you mean?" "This is my house now." I blinked. "Ours, you mean?" He shook his head. "You moved away. You haven't lived here in years." That's when I noticed. Everything inside was different. The couch was gone. So was Mom's quilt. The walls were painted gray, sterile. Even the photos, our childhood pictures, her favorite landscape prints, were missing. It looked like a house he had bought, not one we had grown up in. "I don't understand," I said. "This was always meant to be." "It's not yours anymore," he said. And then he shut the door. That's when it hit me. I wasn't just being pushed out of a home. I was being erased from it. I stood on that porch for longer than I'd care to admit, staring at the locked door like it might open again if I just stood still enough. But it didn't. And I didn't knock again. Instead, I drove to a cheap motel off the interstate, dropped my suitcase by the bed, and sat in the dark with one question echoing louder than the rest. What happened to the house Mom left us? I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I drove to the courthouse downtown. If Nathan had legally transferred the house into his name, there'd be a record of it. I didn't know exactly what I was looking for, but I knew something wasn't right. The lady at the records desk was polite but tired, and when I gave her the property address, she tapped away at her keyboard for a moment, then said, "It's solely owned by Nathan Pierce. Title was updated 3 years ago." My stomach dropped. "Was there a will?" I asked. She shrugged. "If it went through probate, it'd be on file. But sometimes families settle things privately. Privately. That word twisted in my gut. Back in my car, I pulled up my old emails. I remembered Mom sending me a scanned copy of her will a few months before she passed. I searched for will, Mom, and there it was, PDF attachment and all. I opened it, heart pounding. Page 3, section titled Property and Estate Distribution. The house at 311 Willow Creek is to be co-owned by my children, Elise Pierce and Nathan Pierce. My wish is that it remain in our family. Neither child may alter ownership without the other's signed consent. There it was, in her own words. And if that was still true, then how the hell did my name disappear from the deed? I called Nathan, straight to voicemail. I texted him. We need to talk. About the house. About Mom's will. No reply. I thought about flying home. About hiring a lawyer. About pressing charges. But the truth is, I wasn't angry. Yet. I was confused, hurt, and desperate for some kind of explanation that didn't end in betrayal. I spent the rest of the day driving around Asheville, trying to reconcile the town I once knew with how foreign it now felt. Our high school had a new paint job. The old record shop was now a yoga studio. Time had moved on. Maybe Nathan had too. But why did he feel the need to erase me from everything? That night, I drove past the house again. The lights were on. Through the living room window, I could see a sleek couch, a massive TV, and a bookshelf that looked like it came from a catalog. None of it was ours. None of it looked like Mom. I almost drove away. But then I saw something, barely a flicker, through the upstairs window. A cardboard box, and next to it, the edge of something soft and familiar. It was Mom's quilt. He hadn't thrown everything out. Not yet. The next morning, I went back to the courthouse, this time to file a formal request for the original probate documents. The clerk told me they'd contact me once the record was retrieved. As I stepped outside, my phone buzzed. Nathan. The text read, "Stop digging. You're not going to like what you find." My blood ran cold, because suddenly this wasn't just about the house anymore. This was about something bigger, a choice he made, a choice he knew I'd never forgive, and I wasn't ready to walk away just yet. The box in the attic was the last place Nathan didn't think to erase me, and maybe that's why I found it. 2 days after he told me to stop digging, I drove back to the house, this time with a plan. I waited until I knew he'd be gone. His old beat-up truck was missing from the driveway, and the blinds were drawn. I had the spare key, the one Mom had hidden in a loose board beneath the back porch steps. She never believed in security systems. If someone really wants in, she used to say, they'll find a way. I stepped inside, careful not to breathe too loud. The house was still mine in muscle memory. I knew the exact spot where the floor creaked outside the bathroom and where the thermostat stuck halfway to 70. But nothing else felt the same. Everything had been gutted, painted, modernized, cold gray and sharp lines. It felt like walking through a rental, a stage set for someone else's life. I moved quickly up the stairs, praying Nathan wouldn't come back early. The attic had always been the place where memories clung. We stored our childhood there, boxes of old report cards, finger paintings, holiday decorations that still smelled faintly of pine. Mom's wedding dress had lived in one corner, in a box labeled Someday. Now, it was a mess of half-filled tubs and mismatched furniture legs. But there in the corner, half hidden behind a garment rack, was an old brown suitcase I hadn't seen in years. I unzipped it slowly. Inside, papers, notebooks, and a small velvet pouch that jingled when I picked it up. Her jewelry. The good stuff, pieces she'd promised to split between me and Nathan. At the very bottom of the suitcase was a manila envelope. It had my name written on it. Elise, in Mom's handwriting. My throat tightened. I sat on the floor, fingers trembling, and opened it. Inside was a letter, dated 6 months before she passed. My sweet Elise, If you're reading this, then I'm no longer there to tell you how proud I am of you. I know it wasn't easy leaving North Carolina, but you followed your path, and I've never admired you more for it. I've made my wishes clear in the will. I want the house to stay in our family, both of you. I trust you and Nathan to care for it together. But if anything goes wrong, if you ever feel like you're being pushed out, use this letter. Use your voice. And don't let anyone make you feel like less than family. Love you more than words, Mom. I don't remember crying. But when I looked down, the ink had smudged where my tears hit the page. I folded the letter back carefully, slid it into my bag, and left the attic exactly as I found it. I was nearly to the stairs when I heard the front door slam. "Hello?" Nathan's voice echoed through the house. I froze. "Elise?" His voice rose, angrier now. "What the hell are you doing in here?" I stepped out into the hallway slowly, letter in one hand, the velvet pouch in the other. "I came to get what's mine." His eyes narrowed. "You broke in?" "I used the key, the one Mom left us." He looked like he wanted to argue, but the letter in my hand stopped him. "What is that?" "Proof," I said, "that she never wanted you to shut me out." Nathan exhaled, jaw clenched. "You don't understand." "Then help me," I said, voice shaking. "Help me understand why you changed the deed behind my back, why you kept this from me." He didn't answer, just looked away. "I could take this to a lawyer," I added. "You know I could." "I know." For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he said, barely above a whisper, "I was drowning. I couldn't afford the repairs, the taxes. I didn't know what else to do." "So you stole it?" "I thought you didn't want it anymore. You left." "I never left the family," I snapped. "You did." The silence between us was heavier than any door. I walked past him, down the stairs, and out into the fading light. I didn't know what came next, but I knew this. I wasn't the one who needed to explain myself anymore. I didn't file the letter right away. I could have. I had every legal right to challenge Nathan's ownership of the house. The will, the probate record, and now Mom's handwritten letter, it all backed me. Any attorney in Asheville would have taken my case in a heartbeat. But something held me back. Maybe it was grief. Maybe it was the weight of what used to be between us, before the lies, before the silence. Or maybe I didn't want a courtroom to decide what family meant. So instead, I wrote Nathan a letter of my own. I told him I didn't want the house back to punish him. I just wanted the truth. I wanted to know how long he'd planned to cut me out, how he could do that after everything Mom asked of us. I left the letter in his mailbox. No threats, no ultimatums, just a chance to be honest. 2 days passed. Nothing. On the third morning, my phone buzzed. "Nathan, I found the letter. Meet me tonight. Mom's garden." At sunset, I stood behind the house near the stone path she laid down with her bare hands. The roses had been replaced with ornamental grass, but I could still feel her there somehow. Nathan stood a few feet away, hands in his pockets, not meeting my eyes. "I read your letter," he said finally. "And Mom's." I nodded. "So?" He looked down. "I messed up." "You think?" "No, I really messed up. When she passed, I felt like everything was slipping. I didn't know how to take care of the house. The taxes piled up. The roof leaked. I was working 2 jobs, barely sleeping. Then one day, a guy offered to help me clean up the title so I could refinance. He said it was easier if the deed was in one name. I signed the papers. I didn't think you'd ever come back. That last part stung more than I expected. I didn't know what to do when you showed up again," he went on, "and I panicked. I figured if I ignored it long enough, maybe you'd leave again, like before." "I never left you," I said. "I moved for work. I still called, sent money, remembered her birthday every year. You think I just disappeared?" He swallowed hard. It felt that way. I stared at him, the person who used to be my little brother with skinned knees and a slingshot tucked in his back pocket, And now here we were, grown, broken, unsure how to put any of it back together. "So, what now?" I asked. Nathan hesitated. "I can't undo the paperwork without your consent, but if you want to be co-owner again, we can file it. Together, I'll pay for it, and I'll make it right. I promise." It wasn't an apology, not really, but it was something. "And the quilt?" I asked, half smiling. He grinned, just a little. I couldn't throw it out, felt like she'd haunt me. We stood there for a long while, not saying anything, just watching the sky shift from gold to indigo. The cicadas started to hum, and for a second we were kids again, sneaking out with flashlights, running barefoot through the grass. "I don't know if I trust you yet," I said finally. "You don't have to," he replied. "Just give me the chance to earn it." The next morning, we went to the county office together, signed the new paperwork, filed the letter from Mom into the records. The clerk asked us if we were siblings. We both nodded awkwardly. That night, Nathan texted me a photo. The porch swing, repainted, rehung. Thought maybe it's time it came home. We didn't become best friends again overnight. That's not how things work when trust gets fractured so deeply. But restoring co-ownership of the house was the first step. It wasn't just a signature. It was a recognition that what our mom built wasn't just a structure of wood and paint. It was a symbol of shared history, of shared loss, and now, of shared responsibility. In the weeks that followed, we kept our distance. We still had our separate lives. Nathan with his shop, me back in Denver tying up projects and deciding whether I wanted to return long-term. But then small things began to change. He started sending me photos of the garden, how he replanted one of Mom's rose bushes using clippings from the last one I had saved. Of the attic, how he finally cleaned out all the old boxes and set aside anything with my name on it. He even found Mom's old recipe book, the one with the chocolate pie we used to fight over during Thanksgiving. "I tried to make it," he texted. "It turned into soup. Still ate it." I laughed harder at that than I had in months. Eventually, I came back. Not permanently, not at first. Just a long visit. I stayed in the guest room, the one we used to call Dad's room, even though he never came back after he left. Nathan cooked dinner, burned the rice. We argued about whether to replace the kitchen cabinets. And then one night, as we were sitting on the porch swing he'd finally rehung, Nathan turned to me and said, "You know, I didn't just change the locks because of the house." I looked over, curious. "I was jealous. You had a career, a life. Mom always talked about how proud she was of you. I felt like a failure stuck here, surrounded by everything she left behind. So I made it mine. I made it something I could control." It was the most honest thing he'd ever said to me. I told him something too, that I wasn't angry because of the house, not really. I was angry because he made a choice without me, because I felt erased, like I didn't matter anymore, like the part of our family that I carried in my chest didn't count. That night, for the first time in years, we talked like siblings again, not just as people bound by shared DNA, but as two adults trying to rebuild something broken. Eventually, I decided to stay. Not forever, but long enough to repaint Mom's kitchen, to plant more roses, to bring life back to the place we both nearly lost. Together, we fixed the porch steps, cleared out the basement, even found our old board games stacked behind the furnace. We played Monopoly one night. I beat him. He claimed I cheated. And for the first time in a long time, the house felt like home again. Not because of the walls, but because of the people inside. Some wounds don't vanish, but they can heal. And sometimes, the people who hurt you the most are the only ones who understand just how deep the pain runs, because they were there too. What about you? Have you ever had to rebuild something after it was broken, something that mattered more than just money or property? We'd love to hear your story. Drop a comment below. If you're into real-life family drama like this, make sure to subscribe for more.